Welcome to the Frightened condition. On this episode, conditions in D&D. The Frightened condition is a very common one. While frightened, the frightened creature, that is, has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, while its source of fear is within its line of sight. And a creature cannot willingly move closer to its source of fear. Ways to invoke the Frightened condition by means of player include the Intimidating Presence, Menacing Attack, almost all of the Conquer Paladin's abilities, Antipathy Spell, an effective Eye Bite, the list goes on. There are also many ways to get around the Frightened condition. Mindless Rage, Stillness of Mind, Aura of Courage, the Aura Purity spell, Calm Emotions, the spell Good and Evil, the list goes on. Some enemies that invoke the Frightened condition include Beholders, Cloakers, Quasits, and Dragons, the list goes on and on. And also some creatures that are immune to the Frightened condition include pretty much all Celestials, Constructs, Undead, Oozes, Swarms, some Fiends, among a few others. One of the banes of the Frightened condition is it's pretty similar to Poison, as in there's so many ways to get around it for both allies and enemies. And it isn't really one of the most damning effects, but it's pretty cool mechanically. And the way the Frightened condition is done really makes it seem like the source of fear is menacing. Now, for some reason, let's say you don't have a way to get around the Frightened condition. Then, well, line of sight, this is debatable whether it means actual sight. If you interpret that way, you could close your eyes and blind yourself. But the thing is, similar to like kind of an Umber Hulk, if you avert its gaze, you're going to have disadvantage anyway. So there's not a ton getting away from it and thus getting rid of it or passing your save. One strategic way to sort of utilize the Frightened condition is that enemies can't move closer to you and probably want to move away so they can attack another one of your allies that they won't have disadvantage against. So this is a way to kind of like chase them away because they can't move closer to the source of fear, to move them into the position of maybe a spell or some sort of harmful effect. Also, grappling a frightened creature means that they're either going to have to waste their action trying to break grapple or attack you, which will be a disadvantage. Now, as a DM, this is a way to make this, because of its sort of heavy roleplay aspect around it, the sort of ways you can make fear seem, well, frightening. This would kind of make the Frightened condition seem more than it is, sort of like the extra added effects of the poison effect I talked about in another video. I think what would be interesting is you're able to kind of invoke those theatrical elements to really bring out that fear. Also, I think it requires both roleplay on the part of the DM and the players to really pull this off. Remember, Frightened isn't just a condition, it's something your character does. And if they're frightened, this could affect, obviously they're going to notice that their ally's not doing that great in battle. For example, the already shady rogue could be frightened and choose to hide behind something, and then the allies are even more suspicious of them. Also, why is your character afraid? When the Beholder's Eye Ray, particularly Fear Ray, penetrates deep into your mind and pulls out your greatest anxieties, what do you see? What did the ghost whisper when they went over and whispered horrors in your ear, causing you to be scared? And maybe the reason why you were scared of that undead creature was not because it was quite disgusting, but instead because it reminded you eerily close to your dead mentor. Also, you can also take this as a player because sometimes players can invoke fear. For example, the Conquest Paladin, their goal is not only to beat their foes, but to destroy their will to fight. So, a Conquest Paladin might take a severed goblin head earlier in that cave, bring it over to their companions, and completely destroy their will to fight. Also, when there's fear spells that show you your dark anxieties or show enemies, what does it show them? Well, frightening enemies is a great way to escape as well, because they can't move closer to you. Also, great at manipulating movement on the battlefield, keeping them in areas you want them. It's pretty straightforward, so keep a courageous heart. And this is Sean from Dodeck Dungeon. signing off.